Good afternoon, YouTube. What's up? What's up? Obviously, another day, fresh cut. But we're gonna make another video. Apologize if you can't see me. The vents in my Porsche is weird, so it's hard to mount everything, I guess. Anyways, I think you can see me now a little bit better. What we talk about today? We always talk about the same thing. We talk about turo, right? And fun times. So I just picked up the Porsche today. It was clean. It was good. Unfortunately, today it decided here in March during spring break, it decided that it wants to rain today, which is unusual for Florida in March. Normally, it doesn't really rain. Doesn't really rain. See, that's the difference when you have the Porsche all-wheel drive at that. But it doesn't rain in Florida in March. Typically, maybe into Florida, worst case scenario, but middle Florida, middle March, beginning March. Not typically. No, not typically. You normally don't see rain till April. And if it is some type of rain, it'd be like a couple drips. It's like sprinkle here, sprinkle there. Like it is downpouring in Florida, so this is unusual. Kind of sucks. It's not hurting my business per se, but it sucks. Because you want it to be sunny, you want it to be beautiful, you want it to be all the things that Florida is. Normally, or in this time of year. So to kind of have this different climate change, it's definitely a little unusual. And, when it comes to driving, it could hurt. It could hurt a little bit because you got to be careful in the rain. That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to stick to all-wheel drive cars in Florida. I know some people are, what the heck are you talking about? Why do you need all-wheel drive in Florida? Well, for the exact, thing that we're talking about right now. When it comes to rain in Florida, you have this thing called, if your car, if your tires are near bald or not as great, you can get into a situation where you're hydroplaning. I don't know, for those who know what so the van in front of me, for example, going really slow. Tires probably bald. Why they're going so slow? Because their tires are probably bald. Because they're probably more afraid of hydroplaning. So if you hydroplane, basically it's like your tires are floating on the water instead of gripping the ground. And so what that will equal to essentially is your car going out of control, where you may end up in a situation. And especially a guy like me who's renting cars, that's going to be something that I talk about when I'm dropping off my vehicles in the next coming months. That's going to be a hot topic for me. Is yes, I have all-wheel drive cars, so you should have that problem, but hey, be easy, be careful. I know it's a performance sports car. Still, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you endanger yourself and others. So, when you talk Florida's a great market, but these summer months could be tough, because it rains a lot. And people don't know that. People don't know that it rains every day in summertime. Every day. Not like every other week. No, every day. Every day between 2 and 4. You can guarantee it. You can guarantee it. Literally. It's guaranteed. Every day between 2 and 4. It's insane. But besides starting off on the low end, negativity with the rain. Oh look, there's some sun. See a cloud moving over. See some sunshine coming through. Right? You see it on my face. You see it brightening up a little bit, right? Love it. That's what we need. But it's so funny because as closer we get to Disney, it's when the sun starts coming out. It's funny. We gonna act like we didn't say that. We act like we didn't say that. Maybe I edited it out. But it's just funny. Yeah. Anyway, guys, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, Turo. Right? Everybody right now is doing really good on Turo. I'm reading all over blogs, social media. Everyone, it's just so hyped and excited, and everyone's doing well on Turo right now. Why is that? Well, because it's the season to travel. It's the season to travel, and this is where everyone's going to start traveling. Guess what? I've been doing this. I live in Florida. I live in Orlando, Florida at that. So I've been busy. I've been like this busy the whole time. Nothing's changed. Sorry to break it down to you people who live in winter cities and all this. It's been like this. I have not stopped yet. It's been busy the whole time. But anyway, we kind of touched base about starting a Turo, and for those who are looking into starting a Turo or Taycan 2022, I always get distracted. Okay, see, I'm such a car guy. Anyway, starting a Turo in 2022, we kind of touched base on this in the last video, and I want to really go more into it, right? So each video that I do, I'm going to try to talk more about it. Kind of my experience, my feedback, my recommendations. That's what we're going to stick to. I'm no expert. I don't want to label myself as an expert. I've been doing this for a number of months, going on a year now. My reviews speak for themselves. I'm no expert. So you can take this information as is. I'm no professional. I'm no legal advice person. None of these things. It's just my personal opinions, my feedback, my recommendations. You can take it a grain of salt. You can take it full on. It's completely up to you. And you let me know if you take my advice and you like my advice. Like, share, and comment, right? And subscribe. And let me know how my advice is helping you or how my advice is not helping you. Because I'd like to get your feedback, right? To see where I can touch base. Again, no expert. But anyway, guys, sunny Florida, Orlando, Florida. It's not all Disney World and palm trees. I just want to let you guys know that. It's real life here. And, every day everyone's enjoying themselves. And it's not just theme parks. We got beaches on one side of the coast and beaches on the other side of the coast. We got farmers markets and lots of weekend activities to do all the time. That's nice. Anyway, starting a Turo 2022, right? My recommendation, if you're starting a Turo 2022, obviously you want to use your own, personal car as you're starting out, but eventually get to that point where you can start buying cars in a business entity. We'll touch more about that later, but this is my recommendation. So starting Turo 2022, what you'll want to do is you'll want to start with 2 cars if you can, or if you have 1 car, purchase another car. I recommend this heavily. Everyone's excuse my French, everyone's driving slow because they got those bald tires. But listen, okay, I'm in a Porsche, right? We don't got bald tires right here. I'm just going to be passing these people. Excuse me. I'm going to speed limit, I promise. Anyway, starting a Turo, I keep getting distracted. Starting Turo 2022. I got 10 minutes to talk about this. Starting Turo 2022. My recommendation, have 2 cars. Start with 2 cars. Thomas, why do you start with 2 cars? The reason for starting with 2 cars, guys, is because you're gonna have 1 car on the, you're gonna have 2 cars on the platform, but you're gonna need one of those cars during certain times to get around. Because the last thing you want to be doing is having 2 cars on the platform, right? And you have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars taking an Uber or a Lyft. You're going to be killing yourself and you're going to be losing money real quick, right? So if you're able to have 2 cars on the platform, one of the cars really half of the time on the platform, so that way you're able to get around and do what you need to do. And then the other car is strictly 100% on the platform. That's a good way to start, because you'll start making money where you'll start seeing how you can grow as a business owner, how you can grow as a Turo representative, how you can kind of grow in that aspect, right? Then as you start to grow in a number of months, then you can say, you know what, let me build credit, let me do these, all the right things, and let me try to look at buying multiple cars. By multiple cars, I mean 3 or more cars to have on the platform. So like me, for example, I have 5 cars. Not 5 cars on the platform. I have 3 cars on the platform. Really, I have 4 cars on the platform. The 4th car is kind of like half on the platform, half I need to get myself to my 9-to-5 job, right? I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but you get what I mean, right? My normal income, right? That kind of needs to get me there, right? So you don't want to have a situation where you don't have a car and you have to Uber and Lyft everywhere. You're gonna be using a lot of your profit. Uber and Lyft, it ain't cheap. Okay, let me tell you, I do Uber and Lyft. I make some money. It ain't cheap, all right? It ain't cheap to take them from one end of town to the next end of town. You don't want to be doing that often, because you're going to find yourself spending hundreds of dollars of your earnings that you made with Turo. You're going to make $200 and you're going to spend $150 in Uber and Lyft. Tell me if that makes sense. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't want to do that. You either spend money on gas, filling your tank up, so that way it's ready for the next rental. Is what you should be doing. Not spending money on Uber and Lyft, getting or coming from a place, because it's not good business sense to me. That just makes sense. But anyway, starting a Turo in 2022, my recommendation: you should have 2 cars on the platform to start. If you only have 1 car, try to figure out a way to get a 2nd car, whether it be a Hoopty or whether it be a Fred's or something of that nature. Step number 2, in my opinion, obviously, once you get your 2 cars, you need to figure out what are the plans you're going to do on Turo for insurance, or are you going to get commercial insurance for your fleet of cars? How are you starting out? You need to figure out these things as you're putting the 2 cars on Turo. Step number 3 of my recommendation, what you'll want to do after that is you'll want to try to figure out, after you got the 2 cars, and you say, okay, I got the insurance thing I want to figure out, right? Because Turo kind of does how their insurance works is they have plans for everything. I'm not going to break that down too much, but they have a 75 plan, they have a 60 plan, they have a 80 plan, and a 90 plan. Basically what that means by that is that when it goes from tiers, so 90, 80, 75, and 60. So how it works is that the 90 is the most profit you're going to get. However, it's the least amount of insurance you will get, right? And 80, again, same thing. And 75, and then 60, right? So it all kind of breaks down like that. Most people do the 75 plan. It's a $250 deductible. What that basically means is that, if anything happens to your car, Turo covers pretty much everything, not quite everything, but pretty much everything with a pretty low deductible. If you did the 60 plan, Turo's cover everything. I mean, everything. And then you don't get as much earnings back, however, which could suck, depending on whatever your situation is, if you're looking to really scale and make as much money as possible. But my recommendation is 75 plan. That's what your average Turo person does. Not even your average, but pretty much everyone on Turo does pretty much 75 plan. So that's step number 2. That's kind of talking about that. Step 3 is really kind of figure out, after you've done the research, after you've done all these steps, you got your cars on there, you want to figure out what your pricing is going to be. And you say, well, Thomas, if step number 1 was getting the cars on there, shouldn't you have already figured out pricing and things of that nature? Not necessarily, because pricing, there's 2 parts to that, right? You can go the Turo route and say automatic pricing, and you're going to get lowballed. I can tell you that right now. Or you can already have done your research, right? So you have a good idea of what your pricing is, but you need to change the calendar pricing by the week, and sometimes even by the months. So for a perfect example, June we know is a good time to travel. It's a busy time, but guess what? July 4th is even busier, so you want to make sure that you price accordingly, right? So you don't want to July 4th weekend or week to have the same prices that you had at the end of June. That just wouldn't make sense. You want to kind of increase it, see where that demand is, and those little things, right? So you want to make sure you're going about those things the right way. So that's kind of number 3. Number 4 is making sure that you, as a business owner now, you're technically a business owner. As a business owner, that you have the right amount of things for your business. And what I mean by that is, could be gadgets, could be add-ons and things of that nature. So one of the things that I have with my cars is that I have beach gear, which is I think like $35, and I'll throw in like 2 chairs, towels, buckets, shovels, like the works, and having a little small, other add-ons such as like I have baby seats. So we I live in Orlando, Florida. Everyone's pretty much traveling here for Disney World, on the beaches. Those are pretty much the top 2. Don't get me wrong, there's other reasons, but most people out of state, they're traveling here for pretty much those reasons. So having things like a couple baby seats that people can pay you extra for, right? Essentially making your listings stand out a little bit more than the competition, right? Because anyone could go and just rent a car at Turo, or rent a car at Hertz, or Alamo, or whatever these places are. But what's going to make you stand out? For me, it's offering things like unlimited mileage and really just tacking that on to the price. Offering all these add-ons, offering things like, I don't know, complimentary tolls up to $5 or $10 depending on the car, and just really tacking that on to the price. So offering these little bit of things, right? These are things that's not really coming out of pocket for you. It's really things that you're just putting out there, and then people see it and like, you know what, that's a pretty good deal. Really, they're just paying for it in the price. It's all in your daily. I would assume that you do the right thing. So for example, this Porsche Macan here, GTS, right? I would say the market value of it, this is a 2018. I would say the market value of it, honestly, it's like a car that's probably could go anywhere from like 120. I would say it could go anywhere from 120 to 125. Woo! I love that. It just goes 0 to 60. Just looks so good. Anyway, I can say this Porsche Macan GTS, you can say that market value is anywhere from like 120 to 125 a day, right? I think that's a fairly good price. Like, I've looked at a lot of Macans. There's a lot of people on the platform in my area who have it for about, a little under 120. So that 120, 125 mark is probably solid. It's probably pretty good, right? You could probably get a little bit more, but you're not going to get as much listings, right? Because people are not really going to know. Most people don't drive a Porsche every day, so they're not going to know what's the difference. What's the difference, Thomas? What's the difference between a Macan S and a Macan GTS? Well, drive a Porsche. I keep forgetting. I keep saying Porsche. Porsche. If you drive a Porsche or you're familiar with Porsches, you know that the GTS models are very different, extremely different. In fact, they're not. The S model is going to have this. It's basically a sport package, but it's basically the base model with the sport package. That's kind of essentially what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, it has a little bit more horsepower, maybe. A little bit than your base package, but for the most part, it's the base package. It's the base model with a sport package. That's essentially what it is. For most of the Porsches, the S models. So like a Porsche Macan S really is the base model, the sport package. Don't get me wrong, looks good, sounds good. But it ain't a GTS. The GTS, however, the turbos, those are a little bit different. Yes, they have the sport package, but then they also have all the muscleness that comes with it. The sounds, the exhaust sounds that come with it. Some of the more luxury features and abilities that come with it. Some of those things you won't find in an S model. So, but like I said, most people either they won't know or they won't care too much. Until you really explain that difference really in the pricing and how you're doing your listings. So that's one of the things that I try to do to attract people is I put some of those things that really just kind of make my listing stand out a little bit. And I think people see that and they appreciate that, and then when they drive the car, they're like, whoa, Thomas, your effing car is amazing. And me being the cocky a-hole that I am, I'm like, yes, I know. I'm trying to tell you this. Listen to it. So, that's just that's one of the things about that you have to really look into. Just making sure your listing is about as A+ as it gets. Because if it's not, you're not going to get bookings. Another thing is making sure pictures. Right? You want to try to get as close to professional as possible. It's close. I'm not saying you have to be a professional photographer, but you want to get close, as close as possible. As close as possible, and essentially that will get you booked a little more often. Because I have this Porsche. Let me tell you, this Porsche, I don't see it often, and you could probably tell that. Like I think I did one video like 2 weeks ago where I had the Porsche for like half a day. Literally, like this booking, I just picked it up from like an 9-day booking, and it goes back out tomorrow. So I mean, I don't see this car often, and people rave reviews about how great the Porsche is. I got a lot of really good reviews, and I get a lot of clients who book, and they say that's the reason why I booked, because your reviews were amazing. And so, that's kind of part of it. That's my recommendation to anyone starting is you want to first of all, when you first start out, you're gonna have to start lower than everybody else, because you cannot compete with all-star hosts or people who've been doing it for a while. You just can't, unfortunately. So when you're starting out, you got to start those prices lower than most. But at the same time, it might be good because it'll get you bookings right away. Then you start to kind of get your feet wet and have a better understanding better understanding to how this kind of all works and how it fits in to your day to day. Again, just trying to talk to a broad audience here because I don't know. Some people might be, you know what, I'm doing this full time, I'm starting it, or you might have a job like me and you're kind of starting this on the side first. Don't know what your situations are. Comment again. I'd love to hear and learn more about kind of everyone. But essentially, that's kind of what it is. You know, so. What else I got for you guys? Number 5 is just try to put yourself out there. Don't rely strictly on Turo to put you out there. Don't be afraid to place ads. Probably wouldn't recommend anything in particular. I think Google places really good ads. I want to say they're pretty good. Just try to place some ads and see what else that can get you. Because placing ads also will take you. I've placed a few back in the day. Really haven't placed too many since because I really don't need to. I do want to start though. Like next week, I actually want to place an ad. Not because I want to, only because I want to get even more than what I'm getting. I'm greedy. Like I said, I have essentially 4 cars on the platform. One of those cars being half of the time, the other 3 being full time. And I spend a lot of money when it comes to buying these cars, when it comes to getting them, fixing them, etc., etc. I'm trying to make as much money as I can. Because at the end of the day, as things progress in the world, we have a lot of scenarios where things are getting a little bit tougher out there. We're not going to talk about anything in particular. We're just going to talk about how things are getting tougher, especially for some of us, and then the rest of us are doing a little bit better. So that's kind of my recommendation. You're starting a Turo in 2022. Those are my 5. You know, tell me what you guys think. Again, I'm gonna keep making more videos because I really want to kind of break some of this down and break it into sections and not talk about it all at once because I feel like you wouldn't get all of the information if I did it that way. So, all right, you guys have a good one.